I dropped my son off at daycare, then headed straight to the adoption agency. Today, I wanted to find my son a new set of parents. The staff looked at each other in disbelief. They thought I was completely out of my mind. But the next second, I told them why.
I don't want him to think about it, to understand death.
I had a terminal illness, less than 3 months left to live. I had no idea how my 3-year-old son would survive on his own after I'm gone. After hearing my story, the staff's expressions changed from cold indifference to sympathy. After I filled out the adoption papers and went to pick up my son from daycare, I found my usually well-behaved boy throwing a tantrum.
What are you doing under the table, Michael? I'm sorry.
As a single father, I always felt like I owed my son so much. Other kids had rooms full of toys, but when I thought about my son, guilt was all I felt. But sometimes I still couldn't help being harsh with him. That day, I noticed my son had picked up my unfinished yogurt. Panic hit me instantly. I snatched it away from him.
No, don't use my spoon.
And told him sternly never to touch anything I'd eaten from again. I was terrified that anything I touched might bring him bad luck. But my son didn't understand why his father suddenly became so harsh. He probably thought his dad had become a different person, because lately I'd been busy trying to give my son away. Finally that day came. I brought my son to meet a family willing to adopt him. The couple had a luxurious estate, and both seemed incredibly easygoing. They expressed genuine affection for my son, promising him the best schools and the best material life. At that moment I thought leaving my son with them might be a good choice, but the husband's next words changed my mind instantly.
Of course we can afford the best education for our son.
They had their own kids. I couldn't imagine my son being treated differently. Could they really treat him the same? The risk was too great. I couldn't gamble with my son's future like that. Walking across the overpass, I carefully asked my son if he wanted to live with a new family. I was facing the pain of separation from my own flesh and blood, but my young son could only feel pure innocence. He answered without even thinking.
I like him.
Mixed emotions flooded my heart. I wanted to stay with my son forever too, but I had no choice. That day when I dropped my son off at kindergarten, he suddenly asked why other kids had moms, but he didn't. Looking at my son's innocent face, my heart felt like it was being stabbed by 1,000 needles.
I've told you, Michael. She had to go away.
Far away.
Yes, far, far away.
I wanted so badly to tell him the truth, to tell him how that woman abandoned us, but I couldn't, so I made up a beautiful lie instead. Days passed quietly after that. Even with the pain from my illness, I still read him fairy tales on cozy evenings. Still took walks with him in the park. On sunny days, when I explained how excavators worked, the excitement sparkling in his eyes became the most precious treasure of my life. All I wanted was to spend more time with him each day, at least in the time I had left, to make him a little happier. Until that day at work, when a sudden headache struck and made me realize I had to arrange my son's future fast.
Oi, I'm not paying you to sleep up there. You missed that corner.
So I haven't started on this one yet?